245. 245, okay. And that's the last one.
Yeah. So right now they've just finished the residing on that one side, painting it red. We're currently working on the front end, hopefully a few years. The engine was rebuilt and it came back back in 2018, but we really didn't have the crew at the time to do any real work on it, but now we are. That hood used to be sitting here as a table forever. We put it back on. Those wheels were also put back on. We rolled it out a couple of times outside to hose it down and clean it off, get as much milk out of the bottom compartment as we can. So that's something we're looking to run in the future. Last but not least, this is a unique piece we have. One of the few standard gauge engines, the only standard gauge engine we have here. It's a Mack locomotive built by the Mack Truck Company. They tried their hands at entering the railroad industry in the 1930s. This is a gasoline-powered engine, burned about 8 gallons of gas an hour while idling. It was used in Staten Island for the Pouch Terminal Company. It's their number 2 engine, one of 2 that they had. And they ran this engine about to the 1970s. We brought it here. It's in pretty decent shape. The radiators are actually up top, and as you can see, the top is bent. Unfortunately, they hit a bridge while they were moving it here, so it knocked the radiators out. Yeah. Okay. Tell them to come back this way. There you go. Thrift shop at Tom's River that the wooden Caboose truck, the Caboose original truck that right in front of us. As you can see, kind of see on the one over there, we are the incorporated road it would used to say CRP, even though they're Central New Jersey, which the shortest of it would be CRNJ. The reason for that is they started a subsidiary called the Central Road of Pennsylvania at the time. And the reason for that was to avoid New Jersey taxes. It really didn't work, but the CRP logos are visible on the cars. Most notably, you can see them if you look really closely on the truck.
Okay. Look at that.
This side, we got right here, that's the extra truck for the coach. We have a second Newfoundland coach. We didn't bring out the first one today. Right over here, we have a big tank car. That tank car was used by the Jersey Central. It was originally for the A-line gasoline, so it just kind of ran all over the country essentially. However, there was a procedure at Bayhead where they fueled diesel engines off of these tank cars. They had 3 of them. So this was owned by Jersey Central and later New Jersey Transit. You can see the one side's metal because that's the side that actually fuels stuff off of. The other side's wooden. They never adopted it. It's just kind of falling apart. But the neat thing about this one, that remote control capabilities. It actually, when it did run here, the remote control did work. The reason for this is because of the steel plant. So there's plenty of places that were too dangerous for people to actually go without burning to death. So they'd run that engine with the cars, and people would be safe and out of danger. The fun thing about that is you see that weird weld on there. When we got this engine, the cab was all beat up because nobody was ever in the cab of that thing. And if no one's in the cab, you don't really care about how beat up it is. So this engine here is Ely-Thomas Lumber Company number 6. It is a Shay locomotive. This was a much later design of steam locomotive. This did 2 things. It had those horizontal drive shafts. Normal steam engines, they got the drive shafts up front. They go back and forth. They connect to all the wheels, and this causes the wheels to spin. This had horizontal drive shafts. So the drive shaft pistons inside go up and down, and that connects to this system of gears here, which spins around a circle, which by gears connects to the front and back truck. So there should be a piece here holding these 2 together, but it kind of broke apart in its last few years of operation here. This engine was built in the 1920s. It ran for the Ely-Thomas Lumber Company, which was a railroad that had both standard and narrow gauge equipment. Standard gauge is like the really big stuff you see like NJ Transit, but we run narrow gauge. This is this narrower space between the two rails. They load these onto large standard gauge freight cars and to the narrow gauge sections. And once again, smooth transition, talking about European engines. This engine, as well as those two cars behind it, are from Ireland. They ran for the Caboose and Leitrim Railway in Central Ireland. It's the oldest engine we have here, built in 1887. Would be not the oldest piece of equipment. The cabooses are older. The log car we have is maybe older. It's hard to tell a date on that because they built billions of them over the years. And that green car in the back is older. That's from the East Broad Top Railway. It's also the fastest engine we have here. It's had a top speed of 60 miles per hour, which for something like narrow gauge is pretty good. These ran for Central Ireland. They ran mixed trains, so they basically run a baggage car, a passenger car, and then a bunch of freight cars at the end. It was brought to America by a bunch of rich businessmen from Ireland, and they found one of the few narrow gauge places that were running anywhere nearby, which happened to be us, and they brought their engine down to us. And we ran it until we had some issues with the boiler. The boiler inspectors weren't a big fan of the European metric style boiler, and eventually it got taken out of service. Right now, in modern days, we need to do an ultrasound to get a steam engine running. The firebox is made of copper. We don't know what grade. We need to know what grade copper in order to do an inspection. Kind of locked out this engine right now. Yeah, no, they'd be on that track all the way down there. We're good here. We're good. I would not take you anywhere further. Behind it is number 26. It ran in Virginia for the Surrey, Sussex, and Southampton Railway. I didn't mention it, but this one was from West Virginia. And later ran for Gray Lumber near the end after the Surrey, Sussex, and Southampton went under. Fun thing about Gray Lumber is if you notice the log car we have on display on the station, that was also Gray Lumber. We acquired this engine and that one at different times. In fact, we didn't fully own this engine until 2013. Like a lot of railroads at the time, they would, not worry about it. There's an issue with that center spill there. We might not even use the spoiler, but that's a different conversation for the future. But this is probably the first steam engine I've ever run. These rollers have been restored. They roll great. And hopefully one day we'll be able to actually get a loader that works for them. It ran for the Motor Company, built around 1905. It actually ran in Panama for most of its life. It was exported, and we got the engine. It was way back. I think it was the second engine we acquired. The first one being a Plymouth had a steam engine that ran at a sand company. I think it was another porter actually, and that one got sold to Disneyland of all places. It's now the Disneyland number 4. Two steam engines at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean.
Those two, yep.
Yeah, I think they're a bit beyond our scope, though. I think it's beyond a lot of people's scope.
Right.
If there was money to do something